What's up guys? iPad mini 6 is just a few weeks ahead of us, at least that is what my videos about the newest iPads in 2021 suggest, which I will link down in the description if you are into some leaks and rumors considering the newest iPads. But in this video, I wanna see how the current and still the latest iPad mini 5 is still doing when it comes to gaming. So when or if iPad mini 6 launches, this may be some greater and cheaper alternative when it comes to gaming, if this will still push the overall games that I will test in this video good enough. But the word if is here crucial. I mean, is the hardware even good enough for gaming anymore? I mean, the processor is from 2018, we only have 3 gigs of RAM, so how well will this really perform? Will the battery life be good enough? All of this we will be testing, as well as some of your favorite games that iOS has to offer. So if you are into some particular game like PUBG Mobile or Call of Duty Mobile, I will give all the time codes in the description so you may check them immediately if you want to. As well as you may just press the like button if you're gonna enjoy this video and subscribe. I mean, smash that subscribe button for content like that and much more. And now let's get to our games, starting now. So we finally arrived for what you came for, and before that I just wanna quickly confirm the software. We are on the latest iPadOS 14.4, overall pretty good version. I really have no complaints when it comes to that. We are on about 70% of the battery, so we'll see how that drops, if that drops significantly. Immediately I can tell that draining is not much of an issue, since this iPad can really hold its charge really well, despite the battery not being like huge. It's just over 5000 mAh, so it's still pretty good for gaming and should give you a lot of nice hours of playing your favorite games. Our first game, which will be Subway Surfers. And why is it that? I mean, it's no demanding game whatsoever, so why would I choose Subway Surfers? Well, probably because many people play this game, see how it can do in some lighter games, and then finally switch to some heavier stuff. But before that, I just quickly want to confirm that all apps have been closed, and now we can finally load our first game. Wow, actually, as you may have seen, this loaded just immediately. Like 1 second was all it took, and I mean, that's what I would expect in Subway Surfers. I mean, the game is pretty damn old. It's still being updated, but it's no demanding. Any probably phone, tablet can push this game. There will be no problem when it comes to that. And same here. But I just want to quickly emphasize the fact how really nicely this display looks when it comes to displaying the colors and overall sharpness, and I really like that, as well as I like the fact that in such a light game like this there is no such thing as heat issue or battery drainage, so you can basically play that forever and you will be really having a great time in this game. And as I'm saying, the size is really great. I mean, I can smoothly switch between the lines and overall navigate through the game, and it's pretty comfortable. The device is not being too heavy, and if you are curious why I'm playing in the case, since many of you may not like it, the thing is that iPad overall is pretty slippery, and once you play longer or having some longer gaming sessions, it will be maybe uncomfortable, the edges will be a little bit sharp on your hands and maybe slippery a little bit, so I would recommend some case for gaming, so you make sure that in some longer sessions you will still have a great experience. Just like you have in a Subway Surfers right now, stable 60 FPS, of course we can't expect anything less from that little of a demanding game, so now we're gonna switch to something heavier and something that you may have been waiting for. While this game is downloading and I'm happily waiting for it, I just want to emphasize the fact that if you want to comment on something and just, tell me something what I can improve, or just ask about some games, some performance, some device, make sure to just write it down in the comments. I'll happily answer that, since, I just love talking my regular crap, so I'll be very happy if you comment. I love messaging with people, so yeah. And now, hopefully this game is gonna load 100,000 years from now and we can finally test properly how it works on this device. So we are finally in Call of Duty, and just quickly before the gameplay, before testing the speakers and overall frame rate, I just wanna confirm some audio and graphics here. So we are gonna be playing on very high, the highest possible graphic quality for this device. Frame rate is unfortunately locked on very high. We can't go max. If we go max, it will just come down to very high, and I just wanna push this tablet a little bit. I just wanna turn on every possible extra quality we can. in order to push it to a little bit more to the limit. So as you can see, we just got as high with settings as we could get on this device, and now only gameplay remains to be seen. So as you can see, we are finally in the game, and as you can see, it's really good. I mean, the graphics settings perfectly, everything working just the way it should, and I'm just being, I think, annihilated by my opponents. But yeah, maybe we can get a couple of them down. But yeah, overall this game has become very popular recently. People have been really enjoying the gameplay, and I noticed that it actually works really nicely on many devices, including this iPad. So if you wanna have some tremendous Call of Duty gameplay, you're definitely gonna enjoy this game. And yeah, I really have no complaints. I think it's pretty close to 60 FPS, if not 60 FPS at all times. The graphics settings look really good, the gameplay is really enjoyable, and as I said in Subway Surfers, the overall size and the battery life and the fact that the device doesn't overheat, actually I don't feel any heat whatsoever, it just feels really good. So the gameplay is really enjoyable, and I really have no complaints. The game works just flawless, the way you would want it. So if you're a big Call of Duty fan and are just looking for some nice gaming tablet that will give you great experience in this game, I think that the Mini 5 is still the way to go. You definitely don't need either iPad Pro nor iPad Mini 6 or any other more expensive iPad to enjoy this game. Actually, any iPad with A12, as you can see, will work just fine, and we can complain about that. And now enough of my talking, let's just hear a little bit of speakers and enjoy the gameplay. So the next game I'm gonna play is obviously PUBG Mobile, and as you can see, just like with Call of Duty, we came to confirm the graphic settings, and the first graphic settings, because we're gonna basically play on two different settings. The first one is gonna be basically all maxed out, Ultra HD, frame rate also as high as it gets. As you can see, anti-aliasing, shadows, and everything is just, you know, turn on to the max, so we can finally push this tablet to its limit when it comes to PUBG Mobile. And as you can see, that's how much overall the graphics is pretty much gonna look. So hopefully the performance is gonna be satisfying, and let's get to our gameplay. So as you could see, basically we arrived into the game, and as you could see, we maxed out all the settings and all the graphics, and the game looks literally beautiful, and all the shadows and everything, details, colors, sharpness, really good. The gameplay seems to be also pretty smooth, although it's not perfectly smooth. It's not like flawless 60, I feel like it's more like 30 frames per second, but yeah, overall it's pretty stable. And yeah, look at the details. I mean, they look really good. And I'm recording it at 60 frames per second, so you will see the frame rate for yourself. But it doesn't look like it's 60 in any way, shape or form. But overall, the gameplay is pretty okay. And the other settings I'm gonna test is it's gonna play 60 frames per second. But as you can see on these max settings, it's playing pretty smooth. And basically everything you're gonna do is gonna be pretty enjoyable, pretty fast, pretty smooth. But as I'm saying, it doesn't look like crazy smooth, it's just pretty stable, doesn't lag, but the frame rate is not like perfectly smooth or anything like that. You can also hear the speakers, and by the way, they are pretty okay. It's not obviously iPad Pro type of speakers when you can literally hear everything from both sides and have no problems when it comes to any sounds and basically tracking any footstep, but it's reasonably enough, it's okay enough, it's good enough, so I don't think there is much to complain about this. The second option with basically smooth settings, and as you can see now, this is what I call 60 frames per second. Yes, the graphics even in lobby seems to be a little bit worse, but like that frame rate is just beautiful. I mean, look at that. And I think that's definitely the settings you'd wanna play on. Sacrifice a little bit of graphics and you know all of these effects for better frame rate, for smoother frame rate, and actually be more effective in the game because of that. Yeah, so as I said in the lobby, everything is just now much more smoother and it just looks better in the way that frame rate is just better, and overall the gameplay seems snappier and every reaction, everything you are doing now seems better, so I think it's worth to just lowering graphic settings a little bit. I don't think you're sacrificing that much, the game still looks really good, the shadows are enabled, anti-aliasing I think is turned off because of the smooth option. But yeah, now we finally get full 60 frames per second and the heat isn't an issue. I don't feel anything, even though I'm playing with in the case. I think we would feel that if actually there were some heat issues or something like that. So yeah, overall the gameplay I just can see immediately, and you can see that it performs pretty decently, and for PUBG it will be really enjoyable. It's not 90 frames per second like you have on iPad Pro, but this 60 is totally fine. It's really smooth, enjoyable gameplay, and actually most players play on 60 frames per second, so I don't think that that's much of an issue. Of course, if you wanna have more, you gotta go with iPad Pro, but with this size and with this performance, with this price when iPad mini 6 launches, it's gonna be a really good alternative for gamers who just wanna have some cheaper, maybe older iPad that will still give them great experience. As I said, the speakers are okay, they are not perfect because they don't give you the effect that you basically can hear any footstep from any directions. You just have to, you know, think about it from which side the enemy may come, but still it's pretty okay. And as I'm saying, what I said about the display, that's colorful, sharp, nice, it still matters right now and it's still valid right now, even though the graphics are a little bit worse. But just look at that, it's perfectly smooth, really nice, no drop frames, and everything just looks nice enough, it's bright enough, so you will have no problem seeing your enemy. The only problem I have is that I don't have a skill, too much skill in this game, so yeah, but I guess if you are playing it, you will be better than I am, and actually do something useful with the character and overall things in the game. And now I'm just gonna stay quiet for a while, maybe test speakers and give you a little bit of gameplay. Yeah, also just quick confirmation, just as I said about the speakers, you don't necessarily know from which side the enemy is coming because you only have speakers on one side. These are stereo speakers, but still they are coming only from one side. So you don't necessarily know when the enemy may be, especially if you are a noob in this game like I am. So yeah, if you want better speakers, better sound quality, probably iPad Air or Pro will be the way to go. But again, for the price here, I don't think you can complain, since the speakers are good. It's just the thing that you don't necessarily know from which side the enemy may be coming, but maybe that will not be a problem for you. Still very popular Minecraft Pocket Edition, and the reason I'm testing this game is because due to unknown reasons to me, this has had some problems in the past, mostly with frame rate. I mean, it wasn't perfectly smooth or anything like that, so I wanna see if it changed maybe on iOS 14.4, or maybe if the frame rate is still a problem in this game. And as you can see, it's far from 60 frames per second. There are actually some occasional drop frames, especially like when you're jumping and there's a lot of regenerate. And I don't actually know why this is the thing, because the game overall, don't get me wrong, the game overall is very enjoyable to play, and the occasional frame drops are not like much of a deal, big of a deal, but still they are happening, they are taking place. And I don't actually know why. I've seen it on iPad Pro as well, and it hasn't been like totally smooth in some of the situations. And astonishingly, on my iPhone 7 with a much weaker processor, A10, much older processor, this was actually working perfectly okay. So maybe there is some lack of optimization, I actually don't know. Maybe it's something like that. But like, as you can see, look at that, the game is not like perfectly smooth, it's not perfect 60 frames per second or anything like that. But it's definitely playable, so if you wanna play Minecraft Pocket Edition, you will actually enjoy it, have a nice time playing it, but it's not gonna be always perfectly smooth, and some occasional drop frames are gonna be, especially maybe when generating more of the blocks or something like that. But definitely the game is playable, it's enjoyable, but there are some occasional drop frames, and probably due to the reason of some optimization or something like that. But yeah, overall, as I said, it happens on many devices, and so probably the reason is not necessarily the power or lack of it, but more optimization and stuff like that. Since like on my iPhone 7 with A10 processor, as I said, you may check also this gaming test, it's on the channel and will be linked in the description. It was working perfectly okay, and I had no issues whatsoever. But yeah, if you wanna play Minecraft Edition and enjoy that, you can actually build something here, no problem. The gameplay is gonna be really cool, so I don't think it's much of a deal that sometimes frames drop a little bit, especially when we consider that this is not necessarily the fault of the device, but rather probably optimization and the game itself. By the way, if you are curious about the battery, we are now currently at 56% after performing the gaming test, and as you can see, normally it drained a little bit more than would in some lighter activities, but it's obvious we are gaming, so we are not gonna get basically 10 hours of screen on time, but the overall battery life was pretty good. I was performing the test for about hour, maybe hour and a half, lost about 24%. Meanwhile, I was switching between tasks, you know, making some photos for thumbnails and stuff like that. So overall, the battery did pretty okay. And if you wanna enjoy it and the gameplay for quite some time, the battery will do just fine, unless you have some degraded battery in your model. But if you don't, it's gonna be pretty okay. And if you wanna learn how to prevent the natural degradation of the battery, which will be happening no matter what, but you can slow it down dramatically, I will link also the video in the description with just 2 tips which will prevent you from basically degrading your battery too fast, and so actually you will not have to worry about the battery performance or stuff like that. So, as you may have just seen, this thing did really well when it comes to gaming. I mean, the performance, what more do you want? The battery life was really good, the overheating wasn't an issue whatsoever, the screen was bright, sharp and colorful enough to give you great gaming experience, the form factor was even better when it came to gaming, some close setups, and the speakers were good enough for you to hear all the footsteps in shooting games and stuff like that. And the newest iOS here, I mean iPadOS, really pushed this thing really well. So Apple didn't lie when they said that the A12 was really a monster of a chip when it came out, and it's still a pretty powerful processor. So if iPad mini 6 launches and you wanna buy some older product that will be cheaper and yet still very capable, I think the Mini 5 is the way to go. I mean, it has everything really you want for gaming, all the specs and everything, pushes everything very nicely. Of course, if you wanna future-proof yourself, the Mini 6 will be a better choice, but if you have a good deal for that and you wanna have some great enjoyable gaming sessions, I mean, this will be the way to go. So the test has definitely been passed, and overall it's a still great tablet for gaming. Some cheaper tablet for gaming, I mean cheaper if we can actually say cheaper about iPads, but yeah. So I'm really pleased with this thing, and if you are pleased with this video, you may press the like button and subscribe for more content like that, and more importantly, be sure to be well until next time, and peace.